Hey everyone, Josh Peck here. Something important has come up that I would like to talk to you about briefly. As some of you already know, my son Nathan was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 5. Back then, right when it happened, my very good friends, Hear the Watchman's very own, Mike Kerr and Jeannie Moore, wasted no time and began raising funds for us because they knew we were likely in for a long and expensive road ahead. Well, they were absolutely right. But because of their fast action and the generosity of everyone who prayed and supported us, Nathan was able to go into total remission a few years later. Praise God. Well, he is now 11 years old, and as of about 2 weeks ago from the time of this recording, his leukemia symptoms returned. We took him to a doctor who took one look at him and told us it was leukemia. His symptoms became so severe that we had to rush him into the hospital as he was basically at death's door. Thankfully, they were able to take him in immediately and start running tests. At this time, my wife Christina and I used social media to tell everyone what had happened and to ask for prayer. After that, the hospital began to run a number of tests, and something miraculous happened. They actually couldn't find any sign of cancer anymore. Now, we of course were overjoyed and took to social media to spread the news. However, while that was definitely a cause for celebration, we weren't out of the woods yet. Nathan still had a mystery illness that the doctors couldn't explain. Not only were they baffled by the lack of cancer, which I attest is a miraculous and direct answer to prayer, but they were also confused by his other symptoms that are still present. At the time of this recording, Nathan is still in the hospital going through multiple daily tests and surgeries to try to figure out what is going on with him. While we're incredibly thankful that, at least for now, there doesn't seem to be any cancer, we are still aware of the fact that he is still hurting, he is still sick, and we still don't have all the answers. While we really want to focus on Nathan solely, we unfortunately also have to be aware of the fact that the longer he's in the hospital and the more tests they have to run, the more expensive this will be. And our bank account is unlikely to hold out if we're on our own. Obviously, the most important thing you can do is pray. Pray for Nathan's health and for the continued wisdom and guidance of the hospital staff treating him. Also, keep Christina and I in prayer because, as you can imagine, this is a very worrying, troubling, and stressful time for our whole family, Nathan's brother and 3 sisters included. If you would like to donate financially, you can do so at givesendgo.com/NathanTheBrave. You can also go to paypal.me/JoshPeckDisclosure. Or you can send in your donation to P.O. Box 270123, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73137. I have to be honest, I really don't like asking for money, and I don't like that our system is set up this way, but at the same time, this is for the life of my son, and there isn't anything that I wouldn't do for my son, as any of you with children of your own can probably understand. A few days ago, we received a very rough estimate on how much all these tests and everything the hospital is doing is going to cost after the little bit that insurance covers, and my goodness. I don't want to get into specific numbers, but it's absolutely insane, and we wouldn't come close to being able to pay for it without your generosity. And that's not even counting the continued care that he's going to need after he's released, which is not covered by insurance at all. When we set our goal for how much we thought we would need on Give, Send, Go, it was really just a guess. And as it turns out, that even that might not be enough to cover everything. So if donations exceed our goal on Give, Send, Go, praise God, because Nathan is going to need it. So if you go to our Give, Send, Go and see that our goal is met, don't let that deter you from donating anyway if God is leading you to do so. Every little bit helps, and we have no idea how long Nathan's illness, whatever it turns out to be, will last. There's still a lot we don't know about how all this is going to play out, but whatever happens, we trust in the Lord. We also gently and kindly ask to please refrain from sending us medical suggestions. We know your heart's in the right place, but we already have a team working with Nathan and his specific blood type and other physical attributes that are not public knowledge. Thank you so much for your prayers, for your support, and for your generosity. Take care, and God bless. Hey everybody, Josh Peck here. Have you been following the news about all the earthquakes and volcanoes lately? Well, it kind of reminds me of Matthew 24, 4 through 8. Um, and this is talking about the end times. And Jesus answered and said to them, take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. We've clearly seen a lot of that. Like, remember that false prophet, false Christ guy that was claiming he was Christ and the Mahdi and all this stuff. Continuing on in verse 6, and you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. Well, we definitely live in a day where we're seeing a lot of wars and rumors of wars. It seems like every time we turn on the news, that's what's being talked about with, Russia and the Middle East and all this stuff. Uh, Verse 7, nation will rise against, well, my cat's here. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. What's interesting is one of those in that, hey, sweetie, one of those is talking about actual countries, and then another one is talking about actual like racial groups, and we're seeing both of that in our day to day constantly. Um, are you gonna get out of my way? Come here. What are you doing? Oh, this is my cat, Callie. All right, sweetie, I love you. Okay. Um, she's probably gonna turn right around and come right back. Um, but uh, but the main thing that we're going to talk about today is the next part of verse 7. It says there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Matthew 24, 4 through 8. So the question is, we're going to look at some stories about earthquakes and volcanoes, and we're going to ask the question, are we living in the beginnings of sorrows? Have we been in the beginning of sorrows for a while now? If you haven't had a chance, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Click the bell to turn on all notifications. It really does help. And share this video. Give it a like. Give it a thumbs up. And I would love to know your thoughts as well on all this. And you can do so in the comments below. Also, if you want a PDF of this, if you want like all of the information that I'm presenting to you, there's a couple different ways you can do it. If you go to dailyrenegade.com and get a subscription, you can get you can download a PDF with this that has all of the information with it. If you don't want to download a PDF, you can go to joshpeck.substack.com. That is my official blog, the official Daily Renegade blog, and there I have all the information as well. And on the Substack, you can just view it as a web page. At Daily Renegade, you can download it as a PDF. Daily Renegade also has a community tab where we all can fellowship together and we can say whatever we want without fear of censorship, which is really great. And the Substack has the audio only podcast version of every video that I do. So if you're running some errands in the car, or if you're doing chores around the house and you just want the audio, that's the best way to do it. I think the best thing to do is just get both of them, because then you get everything, best of both worlds. All right, so if you haven't heard, a powerful magnitude 8.8 earthquake has struck just off the coast in Russia late July 29th, so a few days ago, and it's been called one of the most intense quakes ever recorded. And actually, it's the biggest anywhere in the world since 2011. So this massive earthquake didn't just rattle the ground, it actually set off tsunami warnings that reached all the way from Japan to Hawaii and even the west coast of the United States. And that shows how far-reaching these forces can be. Probably many of you have already heard about that, but what makes this even more extraordinary is the chain reaction it sparked among the region's volcanoes. So experts from the Institute of Volcanology and Seismology at the Far Eastern branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences have documented that 7 volcanoes erupted all at once because of this. And this kind of simultaneous activity hasn't happened here in nearly 300 years. And Alexei Ozerov, the Institute's director and a corresponding member of the Russian Academy of Sciences, described it as an extremely rare phenomenon, something that he compared to a, quote, parade of volcanic eruptions, end quote. So this is obviously a reminder of how interconnected earthquakes and volcanoes can be in places like this and around the world. One can set off many others. And that might tie back to the, earthquakes in various places prophecy. But the earthquake didn't stop with that main event. It produced several aftershocks, including a significant multitude 6 one that hit the Pacific Ocean near Kamchatka at 6 a.m. local time on Tuesday morning. So that's according to reports from the Kamchatka branch of the Unified Geophysical Service of the Russian Academy of Sciences. Beyond the shaking, the quake physically altered the landscape by causing the southern part of Kamchatka Peninsula to shift southeastward. Excuse me. Calculations from the Kamchatka branch of the Federal Research Center's United Geophysical Service of the Russian Academy of Sciences, geez, that's a mouthful, show that the largest horizontal movement happened in the south, amounting to almost 2 meters. Seismologists have pointed out that this displacement is similar to what occurred during the 2011 earthquake in Japan, though they've noted that the overall shift in Kamchatka was somewhat more modest, even if exact figures of other areas weren't detailed. So kind of reminds me, 2011 and the increased frequency of these things reminds me of the birth pangs of prophecy that we're told about in the Bible. Now turning to the volcanoes themselves, one of the key players is, and I'm probably going to butcher this, Klyuchev Klyuchevsky Klyuchevskoy Klyuchevskoy. I'm gonna all right, whatever. Let's call it the Kly volcano for short. I can't speak Russian. But anyway, now this stands as one of the highest active volcanoes globally. So the Kamchatka Volcanic Eruptions Response Team reported that it was actively spewing ash on Tuesday. And there's, you've probably seen it. There's a striking photograph from August 4th taken by Sergei Kistinov and shared on Instagram that captures this eruption on the far eastern part of the Kamchatka Peninsula. There's another image released by the Russian Academy of Sciences Volcanology Institute and captured by Yuri Demyanchuk, which shows the Kly volcano erupting on Monday, August 4th, with ash shooting up 6 kilometers into the sky in the northern part of the peninsula. Then there's the Krasheninnikov. Krasheninnikov. My gosh. Okay, then there's the Krasheninnikov volcano, which is part of the Eastern Volcanic Belt and sits around 125 miles northeast of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, the main regional center. And I know when I do these, people say, well, Josh, why don't you look it up on Google Translate will tell you how to say these words. I could hear it 100 times and I can't make it happen. Like I can't say it. It's one of my weaknesses, I guess. I'd have to spend years learning Russian to try to understand these pronunciations. It's difficult. I already stutter enough. The last thing I need is these big long Russian words to try to learn. But anyway, so thank you for bearing with me. But an aerial view taken by Artem Shelder on August 3rd shows it in full eruption mode. So local officials have confirmed that this volcano saw a lava flow in the past week, and that's a pretty big deal because it's the first time that that's happened in nearly 600 years. So the last recorded one was back in 1463. An additional image from the Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, dated August 3rd, illustrates that the Krasheninnikov it was spewing smoke and ash during its eruption in the Kamchatka territory. So its location, less than 150 miles from the epicenter of the July 29th earthquake off the east coast of the peninsula, likely contributed to why it woke up so dramatically. So Russian seismologists are confident that there is a direct connection between this mighty earthquake and the surge in volcanic activity across Kamchatka. Alexei Ozerov explained to TASS, a state-affiliated media outlet in Russia, that the eruptions can be traced back to the earthquake, which essentially stirred up the magmatic foci. Those are the underground chambers filled with molten rock, and gave them the extra push needed to break through the surface. Now, it's worth noting, too, that the volcanic activity is no stranger to the Kamchatka Peninsula, which is home to 29 active volcanoes, as per the U.S. Geological Survey. Among the seven now erupting, that's interesting that it's seven, three were previously dormant, according to the Russian Academy of Sciences. The massive eruptions kicked off at 6 a.m. local time on Sunday, leading to the evacuation of personnel from the affected areas, as stated on the Kronotsky Nature Reserve's website. Fortunately, the Regional Ministry of Emergency Situations has reported that no settlements are in the path of the ash plume from the Clive volcano, and there were no registered tourist groups near it, which obviously helps minimize risks to people, which is great.
Hey everyone. Concerning the economically unstable times that we live in, it is a great idea to convert some of your savings into real money. Now, there is a big difference between real money and what we call money, which is actually currency. So our dollar is currency, which fluctuates. Real money, like silver, is a store of value over time. The best way to think of it is like this. If you had saved $1,000 in cash back in the late 60s, the late 1960s, that $1,000 would still be $1,000 today, but it would buy you significantly less today due to inflation. Now, if you saved that same $1,000 in silver back in the 1960s, it would be around $28,000 today. So one of the best ways to protect your purchasing power is in real money, more specifically, silver. Now, you can buy and have the metal shipped discreetly to your door, and what most people don't know is that you can actually convert your IRA or even your 401k into physical silver rather than having all your life savings tied up in the paper fiat system, which is, of course, subject to hyperinflation. So go to dailyrenegade.com right now and click on the Cornerstone Asset Metals banner and sign up to get your free silver report. One of the financial experts will speak with you and find out the best way to protect your savings going forward in these uncertain times. You can also click on the link in the description below that goes directly to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Make sure you tell them that Josh Peck at Daily Renegade sent you. It is time to stop trusting the evil beast financial system of the world and protect your assets today.
There's also been some earthquakes in New Jersey. So there's been a recent spate of earthquakes that's been rattling New Jersey and even spilling over into parts of New York. Again, earthquakes in diverse or various places. So just after noon on Tuesday, a 2.7 magnitude earthquake struck near Hillsdale, New Jersey, with its epicenter located more than 7 miles below the ground, as recorded by the U.S. Geological Survey. So this is not an isolated incident. It's actually the second earthquake to hit the area in just a matter of days, coming on the heels of a slightly stronger 3.0 magnitude that occurred in Hasbrouck Heights, New Jersey on Saturday night. So the effects of this Tuesday quake were noticeable across a broader region, with tremors felt in various parts of New York and New Jersey. New York City's Emergency Management Agency pointed out that these shakes could have been experienced throughout the Big Apple, and they were actively monitoring the situation for any potential impacts. So, as of now, it's not immediately clear whether there were any injuries or damages resulting from this 2.7 magnitude event, which is a relief in such densely populated areas. Now, interestingly, even iconic landmarks like the Empire State Building in Midtown Manhattan came through unscathed. So the building's official account on X posted a confirmation that it was entirely unaffected by the earthquake, showing how these smaller quakes, while startling, don't always cause widespread disruption. But again, we have to remember the prophetic idea of birth pangs. You get a little one. It's like when like a pregnant mother like goes through childbirth. Like there's the contractions and the pain. It starts off small, but it ratchets up bigger and bigger and bigger. Um, so so even though this one may not have been too big of a deal, that doesn't mean the next one won't be. So looking back at the Saturday night quake in Hasbrouck Heights, that one was felt in specific neighborhoods across New York City, including Upper Manhattan areas like Hell's Kitchen, Riverdale in the Bronx, and even Staten Island. and it adds to a pattern of increased seismic activity in the region lately. And in fact, late last month, on a single day, six minor earthquakes shook Morris County, New Jersey, with magnitudes ranging from zero point 0.7 to 2.0. Now that's quite a big cluster, and it shows how the ground beneath us can be more active than we might expect in the Northeast. So all of this activity ties into the geological makeup of New Jersey, which is home to the Ramapo Fault. It is the longest fault line in the Northeast, stretching all the way down to Pennsylvania, and it provides some context for why earthquakes, even if not enormous, keep popping up here. While these recent events are relatively minor compared to what we see in places like California, it's still a reminder that the East Coast is not immune to these natural occurrences. Everywhere is susceptible. So, to visualize the locations, maps have shown that the epicenter of the Tuesday 2.7 magnitude earthquake right near Hillsdale, and there's another illustrating both recent New Jersey earthquakes, one in Hasbrook Heights on Saturday, and this latest in Hillsdale. And that helps to pinpoint how close these are to major urban centers. Overall, this sequence of earthquakes from the six minor ones late last month to these two more noticeable ones in quick succession has obviously and certainly kept residents on alert. Um, there's also an intriguing discovery about a massive, mysterious blob. Maybe you've heard of this, of super hot rock that's lurking deep underneath the eastern United States. So, scientists from the UK have uncovered what they're calling the Northern Appalachian Anomaly, or NAA for short. It's a huge subterranean feature that's been confusing experts for quite some time now. So, this blob sits under the Appalachian Mountains and is gradually making its way toward New York City as revealed through advanced techniques like seismic tomography. You can think of it as like a massive CAT scan that looks into the Earth's interior to map out hidden structures. So this anomaly, this NAA, is like a gigantic slimy ball of hot rock buried about 125 feet underground and stretching across 220 miles of New England. It's essentially a thermal upwelling made up of molten mantle material that behaves like thick, gooey molasses, and it's not alone. There's a twin hot zone under north central Greenland formed during the same ancient geological events, but on the other side of a massive rift, almost like a mirrored version in a tectonic lava lamp. Um, so how did it form? Well, it all ties back to hot rock rising from near the Earth's core to fill in cracks created by rifting land masses. So as the material cools, it starts to drip downward, setting off what's known as mantle waves, which are ripples that travel along the underside of continents. So to figure this out, the team behind the study combined real-world geological observations with computer simulations, modeling plate tectonics and geodynamics to recreate how a hot blob could develop some 1,120 miles northeast of the Appalachians. Um, so now about its movement. This blob is creeping southwest. It's a snail's pace of just 12 miles every million years. Now, at that rate, experts estimate it'll take another 10 to 15 million years to reach New York City. Now, of course, that's plenty of time, unless something changes and it begins to move faster, or if it were to find a way up out of the ground from where it is now, which that could be catastrophic. Again, this is over 200 miles. But there's more to it. This anomaly could be linked to occasional volcanic eruptions in the area, the kind that sometimes even brings diamonds up to the surface. Over on the Greenland side, the twin hot zone is influencing the massive ice sheet from below, affecting how the ice flows and melts today. So Tom Gernon, a professor of earth science at the University of Southampton and the lead author of the research, has shed some light on this enigma. He pointed out that this thermal upwelling has long been a baffling aspect of North American geology. As he puts it, it lies beneath a part of the continent that's been tectonically quiet for a long time. So the notion that it was simply a leftover from when the landmass broke apart never quite added up. That's like one of the explanations of this. Now, on its effects, he explained that heat at the base of a continent can weaken and remove part of its dense root, making the continent lighter and more buoyant, just like a hot air balloon, like rising after dropping its ballast. He also emphasized that ancient heat anomalies like this one keep playing a key role in shaping the dynamics of continental ice sheets from below. So again, lots to think about, and lots of weird stuff happening with earthquakes and volcanoes and seismic activity. And again, this kind of thing has been prophesied, and I'm sure in the end times, especially during the tribulation, this is going to get much, much, much worse. But again, we got to remember the prophetic principle of birth pangs. It starts off small, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little faster, a little bigger, a little faster, and until it just blows up. So as always, I would love to know what you think. Are these recent developments just business as usual, or are we looking at the beginning of sorrows as foretold in Matthew 24? Let me know in the comments. Again, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell to turn on all notifications. I know I haven't been able to do a lot of update videos lately. The reason for that is, as you saw at the beginning of this video, my son is very, very sick in the hospital. And I'm at home with my other four kids. So mom's at the hospital with Nathan, dad's at home with the other four kids. And it just so happened that I was able to get to bed early last night, which was nice because I haven't really been sleeping well lately, as I'm sure you can imagine. I was able to get to sleep early. I was able to wake up early, and I was able to come down to my office and do this before the kids wake up, which actually I think I'm hearing them now, so that's perfect timing to end this. But all that being said, just thank you so much. Please keep Nathan in prayer. We're still trying to figure out everything that's going on, and we just really love and appreciate all of you guys. So, with that, take care. God bless, and see you next time.